You probably hear so much conflicting advice online for curly hair. And a lot of the common methods that you often see do not always work the best for low density or thin curly hair. I'm sharing alternatives for achieving more volume and fullness in your hair. And even if you don't have low density or thin curly hair, these tips and alternatives can still help you out if you just want to achieve more volume. My name is Gina and welcome back to my channel. Here we talk all things naturally curly. I love simplifying things, doing step-by-step tutorials, and really helping you problem solve, which is what we're going to do here today. And stay tuned until the end of the video for a special giveaway where you can win one of my most used tools for curly hair that is game-changing in my routine. Before we dive in, I just want to clarify that there is no right or wrong way to do your curls, but these are often methods that I hear a lot where I have tried an alternative method and it's worked a lot better for my low density thin curls. And I've also coached hundreds of coaching clients at this point, and these methods have also proven to work better for them when they make these small tweaks in their routine. Before we get started, let me just explain real quick the products that I used prior to this point. My hair is currently clean up in my towel, and I used the Prose shampoo and conditioner. This is a custom hair care line where you fill out a quiz before and then you get a custom formula. So I can't tell you exactly what my formula is because it's going to depend based on your quiz results, but I'll do my best to kind of explain, I guess, what I filled out on my quiz. I'll put that on the blog post that goes with the video, which will be linked down below. I'll be sure to include details. This is not sponsored or anything like that, but I do have an affiliate link with them. So I'm still kind of in the testing phase. I've used it maybe 4 or 5 times now and really been enjoying the shampoo and conditioner. However, I do feel like it's a little bit pricey, but it is custom hair care, so I do understand that part. And I also already went in with my Curlsmith Miracle Shield, so that's already in my hair. That's my heat protectant spray. But back to the Prose products, this is going to kind of serve as my initial review of them after testing for maybe 4 or 5 different times. I'm also going to use the styling products, including the curl cream and the styling gel in this video. So stay tuned for the end of the video if you want to see kind of my final thoughts on them and also obviously my results of using the custom styling products. So I'm just going to take my hair down out of the towel and then mist it with some water. So my first method that often doesn't work for lower density or thin curly hair is soaking wet styling, and instead you might want to try more of a damp style. So that refers to the amount of water that is in your hair. Applying products to soaking wet hair is a really common method in the curly hair world. I'm sure you've heard a lot of people preach about the importance of your hair being soaking wet when you apply your styling products. It is true that soaking wet styling helps the curls form, help them clump more, prevents frizz, and also helps the product spread better. But there are downsides to soaking wet styling that I feel like no one talks about. And the first one is that soaking wet styling can weigh down your hair, especially if it's fine and lower porosity. So that hair type can get weighed down pretty easily. But the more water in your hair could potentially weigh it down and kind of elongate things because water is heavy, especially when you're combining it with very rich moisturizing products, which we'll also talk about that in just a little bit. Soaking wet styling is also going to take much longer to dry compared to damp styling. And a big one is soaking wet styling dilutes your products more. The more water that's in your hair, it's sort of watering down your products, especially your gel, which in turn can reduce your hold. So you might get more frizz, you might not get a gel cast if you're severely diluting your gel with water. And this is a big one that's going to impact your hair no matter what your hair type is. Real quick, I'm going to put in some of the Prose Custom Curl Cream. This is a pretty small bottle. I'm waiting on my pump to come in. They didn't send me pumps in my package, so they did ship some out. But typically this would have a pump in it, but I'm just gonna go in with a very small amount. I'm actually really enjoying this formula so far. It's not too heavy and it does give some moisture. Usually I will just use my gel by itself, and I definitely recommend doing that. And we'll talk about products in just a moment, but try your gel by itself, and if you do decide to get the Prose custom products, I would recommend definitely just trying the gel by itself. But my hair's been feeling a little dry, and I also wanted to kind of test both products. So I'm gonna use the curl cream first. And it seems to be nice and concentrated because when I emulsify my hands, even after applying it, I get even more product. So I'm able to use less and kind of spread it around better. So back to my points about soaking wet versus damp styling. If your gel is not giving you a gel cast, try using less water in your routine. So that would involve first putting your hair towel on or your t-shirt after you rinse out your conditioner, and then taking it down shortly after, like just a couple minutes, and then misting with water, which is why I always have a spray bottle on hand. I can link this one for you down below. But this allows me to continuously wet my hair to prevent it from being too stringy, because I still don't want it to be stringy and frizzy, but I also don't want it soaking wet and dripping all over the place. That's too much water for my thinner hair. I want it to be somewhere in between, and that allows you to customize the amount of water in your hair. This is also why I like styling out of the shower, because then I have more control over the amount of water in my hair. Just gonna section my hair so I can apply the gel better. Now with wavy hair types, you might benefit more with soaking wet styling. There's definitely some people who can really benefit from soaking wet styling if they're struggling with getting their hair to clump or struggling with the curls to form. That's why often you see more wavy types using more soaking wet styling. So if you do want to style soaking wet, I am going to show you a technique towards the end of the styling routine to still style soaking wet, but also reduce your dry time and increase your hold so you can get the best of both worlds. Now I'm going in with the Prose Custom Styling Gel. This is in a tub format, and it's a clear sort of custard jelly type of formula. By the way, the gel is an add-on product, so if you're doing like the initial starter kit, it doesn't include the gel. I had to add this in. So I'm going in with about that much. Next, let's talk about how everyone thinks that every curl problem can be solved by adding moisture. While it is true that curly hair definitely craves moisture and is going to be much drier than someone with straight hair, moisture is not the solution for every problem such as frizz. Your frizz is not always from needing more moisture like some might say. Too much moisture, such as going in with a leave-in conditioner, a curl cream, maybe a custard, maybe a curl enhancer, a gel, an oil, that is way too much product, especially for someone with lower density or thin curly hair. This is why often I use just a gel. And don't even get me started on the LOC method, which is leave-in oil cream. That method is definitely not one you'll want to use if you have lower density or thin curly hair. I don't think anyone should be applying oils onto wet hair, but that's definitely one that's going to weigh down your hair. So if you have lower density or thin curly hair, you likely want to achieve both volume and hold. So in order to do that, you actually need to reduce the amount of moisture in your routine at every step. So including using more lightweight conditioners, skipping leave-in conditioner, skipping curl cream, and using just a gel or a mousse. So styling with just gel or mousse is going to give you a lower amount of moisture and also stronger hold. The more products that are underneath your gel, the more it's going to reduce your hold, because water and creamy products reduce hold in gel. So for maximum hold, just use your gel by itself. So that's a lot of times what I do with this Prose gel, especially the first time I was testing it. I always test my gels by themselves first. And curly hair products have come a long way, especially gels, where most people think of gels as being more drying. They might think of those really thick, clear, sticky gels from the drugstore that are super drying on the hair and maybe high in alcohol and low in moisture. Those are not the gels we're using here. A lot of the curly hair gels now, especially the ones I feature, have moisture in them. They're not a drying gel, this one included. While this one is a little bit of a thicker consistency than what I typically go with, it's still moisturizing. Especially if you're using a gel that has sort of a milky or more of an opaque color to it, that's definitely gonna have more creaminess in it to help with moisture. But layering on a bunch of products is just so unnecessary. You don't need to use both a leave-in conditioner and a curl cream. If your hair is dry, or if you're in a dry climate, like right now it's a little bit dry here because we're in the winter months, that's usually when I will need a little bit of a leave-in or a curl cream, which is why I use the curl cream today. But pick one or the other, or go with a leave-in conditioner. Often leave-ins are going to be more lightweight compared to curl creams just by nature. So for the lightest weight moisture option, use leave-in and then gel, or just use a moisturizing gel. And for very fine low density hair, just your conditioner probably is going to be enough moisture to where you can go straight to gel. This is something I work with my curl coaching clients with all the time, because majority of the time they're coming to me with way too much moisture in their hair and not getting enough hold, and really struggling with their curls not lasting. So I really work with them to tweak each step of their routine, because we have to work backwards and I often uncover so much that they could tweak and talking to them and talking through their routine. There's also a huge difference between dry frizz and frizz from not having enough hold. I'm actually planning a video soon on this exact topic, but real quickly, just how to tell what your hair needs. The next day, if your hair is feeling soft and it just is frizzy, that's just a lack of hold. That means you just didn't get enough hold out of your styling products on wash day. However, if your hair is brittle and stiff and it's frizzy and looks dull, like the coloring looks dull and less vibrant, that's dryness. And if it feels brittle, so it's really a difference in the feeling, not so much just the fact that there's frizz. So just having frizz doesn't always mean you need more moisture. It often just means you need more hold. Applying products while upside down is often a method that goes along with soaking wet styling, and it may not be the best method for low density and thin curly hair, especially if you struggle with your scalp showing. There are still ways that you can achieve volume with upright styling, which is what I'm doing here. So often the purpose of styling upside down for most people is they're trying to achieve more root volume, because when you're upside down, you're pulling all your hair forward, and then when you come right side up, you have a little bit of root lift there. But you can actually achieve volume while styling upright, which is exactly what I'm doing here with my brush, and it saves your back. The downsides to upside down styling that no one seems to talk about is the back and neck pain, for one, and tangles, especially if your hair is lower density and damaged or higher porosity. Your hair's probably like Velcro and sticks to itself, which is just a recipe for very messy, tangly hair when you're styling upside down, especially when you then come right side up. Not to mention, the back is difficult to style upside down because you're pulling all of that hair forward and it's kind of sticking to the scalp, and it's stretching out the roots if you're brushing everything forward. You can lean to the side some and then style, but it's still a little bit of a messier way to style. Styling upside down can also give you less control over how the hair is going to lay and part and which direction it's going to lay in. If you're struggling with your hair falling in your face or you can't get your part right, you might want to try upright styling, where you have more control over how the hair is going to part on top. With lower density hair, you might struggle with your scalp showing in the back, maybe cowlicks, and this is why I like to style up and back, especially at the crown area. So what I was just doing is taking horizontal sections. I took one here, one there, and one there. All of those were styled back to cover my scalp better. If I was upside down and then I come right side up, I'm probably gonna have some separation or some weird wonkiness or tangles on the back crown area. Upright styling with sections is just a little bit more of an organized way to style. It doesn't mean that one way is right or wrong. It's just when you understand the differences, you can pick and choose what you prefer. In order to still achieve volume, you want to brush the hair up and back, or you can just go up and forward if you do want kind of your hair to fall forward a little bit, but I like my hair to fall back. So I'm placing the brush right here and brushing up and back and just letting it kind of fall the way that it wants to. But it's easier with a brush to really use the bristles to grab the hair to pull that hair at the root back. See the way that's going back? Whereas with my hands, it's going to be a little bit flatter if I'm trying to just rake the hair back in that direction. The brush gives me a little bit more root lift right here at the crown. And this is also how you can achieve a no part look. If you don't want a defined part, you would just want to keep taking horizontal sections all the way to the front. Essentially, to create more root volume, you just need to create space at the root. So you want to avoid just raking and pulling everything down. You really want to lift the hair up and away from the scalp. So even if you don't want to brush style, at least use your hands to create space at the root and then scrunch all the way to the root to create more of that space there from your hair at the root and the scalp. If brush styling is something you want to try but you just really struggle with it, I recommend checking out the video I posted recently, which is a simplified brush styling technique. And I basically talk through exactly how to brush style for beginners in a very simplified way. And I show you how you can do it faster and also not worry so much about the direction in which your hair goes with an easier method. So I'll be sure to link that video for you down below with more help on that. I always like to create a little bit of a part just so my hair doesn't fall in my face. If I was styling upside down, it'd be difficult to get my part right. It would be a little bit messier, maybe less defined, but then the hair would probably fall forward, fall in my face. It might not know which side it wants to go on, which for me can result in more frizz around the top section if the hair is not better organized into the right curl families. A bonus tip that I wanted to throw in here for lower density thin hair is to not over clump your curls. Everyone always wants thick, chunky curl clumps because they're really pretty, but the thicker your curl clumps are, your hair is going to look less full. This is why a lot of times I separate curl clumps into these smaller curl families instead of leaving them very clumped, and I make sure to do that while my hair is still wet, not after when my hair is dry, because that can just cause frizz and then they're very likely to just group right back together. So if you look at the individual curl clumps, they're much skinnier. So see how this one could even be separated? Like my natural curl families are much smaller than often even what I style for. So these are naturally grouping right here. So if I keep them more separated, my hair is going to curl up more and be more defined versus trying to force them into thicker curl clumps. This is also going to give me more fullness and prevent a very see-through, sparse look in my hair. When I'm finished styling, I usually will use a handheld mirror and check the back, and I always have to check underneath because this area for me tends to clump a lot, so I usually will just kind of separate the thick, chunky curl clumps that might have already formed while I'm styling. So I just go in, pull them apart, and then I will go through and scrunch again. Our next method that often does not work for lower density hair and a lot of hair types is plopping. Instead, you want to try the microplopping technique. Plopping involves tying your hair towel with your hair up on top of your head and letting it sit for a bit. This method is really common with soaking wet styling routines because there is a lot of excess water there. However, I often find that plopping is just a waste of time for certain hair types and just prolongs your hair routine, when instead you could just microplop and then go straight to diffusing to make your whole routine much shorter. Some of the downsides that no one ever talks about with plopping is flatter roots. It can flatten out your roots because you're squishing your hair against your head and tying it tightly with your towel. Smushing your wet hair with product against your head can also lead to buildup on the scalp because now the product is touching your scalp. This can cause itchiness for some people, can cause flakes on the scalp, and again, just smush your roots. You can also get a lot of wonky curls if your curls are not properly placed in the towel. It's really difficult to get them perfectly placed against your scalp, and often people will end up with wonky curls, especially if they let their hair sit in a plop too long and it starts to dry. And you can end up with a lot of scalp issues over time. An alternative method is called microplopping, and this is the technique you usually see me do in my videos. So I have my hair towel here. It's still wet from where I had my hair wrapped in it earlier, but that is good. And I'm just going to gently scrunch my hair with this towel. This is giving me the same effect to speed up my dry time and also increase my hold, and I'll show you how I do that in just a second. But this is gently scrunching the hair to soak up all of that excess water. This is also going to significantly speed up your dry time, especially if you're styling soaking wet and it's taking forever for your hair to dry. Then you can really increase your hold by going in with a second layer of gel, but a very light glaze of gel. We're not piling on a bunch of gel. So I'm going to go in with about that much, and I'm actually going to add some water to dilute it a little bit just so it's not too much gel, and also to help it spread better because now our hair is a little bit more dry. It's definitely more just damp and not soaking wet. So you just want to gently glaze that gel on. So I'm just glazing over the surface, smoothing down any frizz that formed. Actually need more water on my hands. You don't want your hands to stick to your hair, that can cause frizz. And then I'm also just kind of scrunching it in, but you want to be careful with scrunching. It can just cause frizz sometimes. This extra layer of gel is going to significantly increase your hold because now we're applying gel on hair that's starting to dry. And just like we talked about in the beginning, the more water in your hair with your gel is going to reduce your hold. Whereas applying gel to hair that's more dry is really going to give you extra hold. So if you're using a gel that's not giving you a good cast, try this step and I guarantee you're going to get better hold compared to what you were previously doing. After microplopping, I'm ready to diffuse, which I highly recommend for anyone wanting to achieve volume and root lift. Air drying will just cause your curls to elongate and remain flat, whereas the gentle heat from the diffuser will set the curl shape so they last longer. I'm using the Curlsmith Defrizzion and XXL diffuser attachment, which is super large so it covers an entire side all at once to dry my hair fast. Scrunch diffusing over hovering will also help your curls in waves that spring up more. For more root lift, you can use the diffuser prongs to lift and hold, which dries the hair away from the scalp. This is not easy to do if your diffuser doesn't have prongs that are long enough to reach the roots, so you want to make sure you use a diffuser with prongs that extend out past the end of the diffuser for best results. I like to do a combination of upside down diffusing, upright diffusing, and also flipping it side to side, but mainly using the diffuser prongs prongs to really create that volume. Now my hair is completely dry and I'm ready to scrunch out the cast, but I wanted to show you the amount of hold that the Prose gel gives after the hair dries. So I do have a pretty good gel cast. I would consider this about a stronghold gel in terms of the amount of cast it gives after your hair is dried, but you definitely can release all of the cast for a softer look, which I definitely recommend doing for more volume and fullness overall. So I'm just going to go around and shake out my roots, and then I like to just scrunch from the bottom up. And I do this just with dry hands, not with oil or anything, because I want to minimize products, and oil softens it up too much, and I like my curls to retain some hold so that way they last longer. Most of the cast I feel is around where I added extra gel after microplopping. So now I've pretty much scrunched out all of the cast, but my hair didn't immediately frizz up, which tells me that this gel does give me enough hold. It's now day 2 and I have not done anything to my hair. I'm filming this clip on my phone because it tends to pick up frizz better, so I really want to show you in detail how my hair looks, and it's actually barely frizzy at all. I just have a little bit of normal frizz that tends to happen around the top, completely normal. I also wanted to note that it is pretty dry in my house. It's winter time here, the heat pump's running, so it's very dry, so I can't really speak to how well this gel works in humidity, but for dry weather, it's definitely working really well so far. I will say the only thing that I'm noticing is I have these random like stringy pieces underneath, and I think this might have been from yesterday where I had a couple random curls that maybe didn't get pressed up correctly in the diffuser, so I had some wonky curls in the back, and then today they're just a little bit loosened up. I normally don't have this. Typically my underside layer is pretty tight to where I have to kind of separate curl clumps, so that's the only thing that I see, but that's just me being really picky. Overall, I feel like it looks really good. I'm impressed. The curl clumps still look good. The definition is still there. Like, look at this definition on this piece. Isn't that crazy? Like, it doesn't have a cast really anymore. I mean, maybe a light cast, but it still looks like it has a cast, but softer. So really impressed so far. Hopefully these results hold up well throughout the day. I'm not gonna do a refresh today. I'm just gonna leave it as is. It doesn't feel dry or anything. And I definitely think I like my results better with the cream compared to using the gel by itself. So if you are interested in trying out Prose, I'll be sure to put my affiliate link down below. Again, this video is not sponsored, but I do have an affiliate link for them if you do wanna try it out. And I believe it includes a discount as well. So I'll put those details down below. Now for the giveaway portion of the video, I wanted to thank you all so much for watching all of my content this year and watching through the end of this video and being so supportive. So I've been doing a bunch of giveaways almost in every video that I've put up in December. And for today's giveaway, I'm giving away the Hair Repair Towel. So this is the one that's the 29 by 45 inch. So this is, I think, the larger size, and it's the black color. So I just used the black one in my hair today, but I used one that is smaller in size. But this is a big one, so you're able to wrap your hair different ways. It's one of my all-time favorite products. I use this in almost every single routine. There's only a couple of hair towels I like, and this one in particular is completely flat, so the material is flat. There's no little fibers. I highly recommend this one over a traditional microfiber towel because this one is flatter and doesn't have little fibers. Or you could always just use a t-shirt, but it's always nice when you can have an actual hair towel since it's bigger and a little bit more absorbent than a regular t-shirt. So all you have to do to enter to win this is be subscribed here to my channel and leave a comment down below. You can tell me anything you want. You can tell me a takeaway you had from this video. Actually, it'll be fun if you tell me what is one method that you see a lot with curly hair content online that didn't work for you. So what's something that you've just noticed does not work well for your hair, something you've tried, something you see talked about a lot? Let me know in the comments. That should be fun to read everyone's. But enter to win this. I will have it going on for about a week, and I will be sure to reach out to the winner by comment replies, so make sure you're checking your YouTube notifications so you don't miss it if you do win. Full giveaway details will be listed in the description box down below, so just expand that below the video to see those full instructions. I also wanted to let you know that enrollment is now open for my group coaching program, which starts mid-January. I currently have early bird pricing available, so if you sign up within December, you will get a discounted rate, which will go up starting January 1st. So if you're interested in getting 6 weeks of curl coaching from me and a supportive community and a crash course in curly hair, then just send me the word group in an email to tell me that you're interested in learning more. So shoot me an email. My email will be on the screen and down below. or you can always send me a DM on Instagram or on Facebook. Just include the work group so I know what you're reaching out about, and I'll be happy to answer your questions and see if it's a good fit. For more help with thin or low density curly hair, check out the video that I've linked for you right here on the screen. It's all about some do's and don'ts for curly hair. So if you like this style of video where I share what to not do and alternatives to try it, check out that video and I will talk to you over there. Bye everyone.